Hey guys, here's 84 Lax 84. I am Cedar Not Mind. Anyways, I'm sorry about any background noise or anything. Anyways, I have an update video later today telling you about like the lack of uploads and everything. Anyways, we're doing a creepy story today, and this one is called Those We Dare Not Speak. This is about, I don't know how long it will be, but I think starting around 12 minutes. Anyways, guys, here's a story. Remember, hit the like button to subscribe. I end on the story, so bye, guys. People often think they are sure what's real and what's not. They think they know differences between reality and something that's otherwise made up. The question, however, is where does one draw the line? Which one draw? When does a story someone tells you cross over from being seen as true to something that's obviously false? Until recently, I had never really thought about sort of thing. Before now, everything just seemed so simple. The sad truth of the matter is, even now, as I'm typing this, I'm not sure if I'm dreaming or if I begin to lose my mind. It started about 4 days ago when I was rummaging in one of the countless boxes that were being sold off from our estate sale. The owner had apparently died, and their effects were being sold off by the family, as they themselves didn't really want anything to do with them anymore. The things I'm kind of a collector of objects that happened to pique my interest. Usually older antique, and I had noticed that these sort of sales are much better in price than if you were going to an actual shop. Over the years, I found some pretty good stuff. Not always, but sometimes, and I have been able to get away with only paying a fraction of what I would otherwise. However, recently I managed to find something that made me increasingly curious. A book bound in leather. The cover of the end was blank, and after flipping through the pages, I found everything inside was handwritten. At first, I thought it was a journal. That is, until I went to the first page again and looked at it more carefully, in which case I found I read Notes on Folklore, written in black. Nicely done handwriting. I had begun to wonder how old it was, but could not, for the life of me, of any sort of date or indication when or by who was made by only made the book more mysterious. While I was never big into this sort of topic, I nonetheless thought that between the unknown age and interesting look at tomb, that would be worthwhile to purchase. After paying for it, then brought it home and immediately opened up my desk before beginning to slowly paw through it. At first, inside the pages were notes on stories and creatures that one would expect to find inside your standing book on a subject. However, as I read on, I noticed that some of the things written was unfazed. They were just stories after all, just like any other one would read. Stories researched and cataloged by whoever had happened to have taken the time to write them down. It only took about 2 hours before making it to the end in a relatively small volume, which brought me to the last piece of notes on a group of creatures I had never heard of. It was entitled Those We Do Not Speak, and described being that lived in the realm of dreams. The book said that we persons sleep, their souls enter another world. This is the world where our dreams take place. It is indicated that these creatures, while usually not interested in interfering with humans, will sometimes be mischievous and interact with them if they'll see fit. That's when the story began to resemble a fairy tale straight out of Grimm's. It said that there were some who were not simply mischievous but downright sadistic. Then some of them, if they happened to find someone that they took a liking to, would torment and torture them every moment they were asleep. This section went to a note that in some cases these creatures, especially the more powerful ones, would be able to leave their own realm into a person's walking life in order to induce madness and even death, all for the sake of their twisted enjoyment. As I read this, it made me shiver like none of the other entries had for it. Individual seemed to strike a nerve, although at the time I was not sure why. As I read on, the book noted that it was the individual names of the creatures that, if had spoken, could someone lure or attract them, the ones who was willing to speak their name. Apparently, it was a fact that made the few names that may have been known by whatever culture that originally believed in such things taboo, eventually forbidden to say or write in an attempt to minimize the chance that we could intentionally or unintentionally draw one of these things to themselves. While it was still a bit creepy, the idea that I was saying something out loud could somewhat make an interdimensional monster attack you in your dreams or something. The story was actually somewhat comical, so much so that after I read I began to laugh, if only a little. After getting this out of my system, I looked to see if there was any more on entry and realized the only thing left was a scribble made into a margin which read note. It was very difficult, but I managed to find one name belonging to one of these supposed things. Underneath this was circle word, which was apparently the name of the author of this book had found. I looked closer at it, trying to see how it would be pronounced, as it seemed to be written in some other language, which should have been obvious given the tale itself was probably from a distant country. Without even considering the fact that any of what was written was true, I slowly said aloud the name with little in the way of hesitation. In retrospect, I must admit I regret it. Sometimes I should have never done, but this is where the so-called knowledge of fact and fiction comes into play. I thought it was fake, that nothing could possibly come out after speaking the name a number of times, while at the same time trying to get the pronunciation right. I noticed that the more I said it, the smoother it became, and that in the fact name itself had a rather pleasant sound to it. I tended to think of the region that such a name would have come from, but was unable. I suppose it was just too foreign. After I finished reading, I noticed that it has gone late, and with me having work in the morning, decided to shut the book and get to sleep. After sleeping into my small but cozy bed, before I knew it, I was fast asleep. The thought of the book still laying on my desk, fitting images as I drifted off. Slowly, I woke to find I was no longer in my bed. Looking around, I saw that I was standing on some sort of scorched earth. The ground was dark and cracked, while immediate vicinity there was nothing. No trees, buildings, just desolation. Even the sky itself was swirling massive dark clouds moving faster than I had seen that ever do before. It became clear that this was a dream, but I had never been aware of anything while actually being in one. The first thought that came upon me was that maybe I was just in sort of lucid dream, that I was now conscious and could perhaps make this world suited to my own desires. I tried multiple times to change my surroundings, but nothing worked. I was then that a chill right up my spine and a feeling that something was watching me. It began to take effect. I looked behind, towards and a source of feeling out, to find what I first thought was only another person standing about 10 feet away. I immediately started back up, almost tripping on a slightly raised piece of parched ground beneath me, but managed to catch myself before falling. Seeing me in the state seemed to amuse the thing that now stood before me, as I could smell curling on its pale, sickly skin, a menacing smile that seemed to make it clear that maybe it wasn't human after all. Until that moment, I had never felt such a strange amount of fear. It was a level that I can't explain. By sheer instinct, I wanted to run, but my legs would not move, as if I was a deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car. With me being frozen in place, the creature began to walk towards me, and if its hair-covering eyes leaving the one that terrifying small plaster on its face. The pain was... Sorry, guys, I got lost. As I walked, everything about it stated to cause more fear. My fear increased from its thin, malnourished-looking body to its slender hand, which had small but sharp-looking claws at the end, and the roar that seemed to emil from it grew more and more closer to it came. During all of this, I had begun to forget that I was sleeping, that everything I was seeing was nothing but illusional. It just seemed so real that I began to think this was the end, but then I got that I was going to die here now. And now in some unspeakable way, with all my strength, I managed to regain control of my previously paralyzed legs and turn around, but not before the creature was able to speed forth, grabbing me by my neck with one hand while piercing my eye with its other. The pain was beyond anything I ever felt. Something made me think even more that this had to be real. As far as I know, I wasn't supposed to feel pain in the dream, but here I was it was totally agonizing. Agony. Using it 2 fingers, I could feel it twist inside my eye socket, a claw scraping against my skull while the signature smile on only widened, showing its slightly pointed teeth. Even with it being so close, its eyes remained unseen as the thick, white hair continued to veil them. Still, I could feel them staring, gazing past the surface. And in my deepest thoughts, I cried out desperation. Why? Stop it, please stop. I didn't do anything. Why are you doing this? And what the creature came closer, its mouth closing in on my ear, and said in a gleeful tone, "You called upon me, didn't you? You're all mine now." In an instant, I woke up my bed, dripping with sweat, my heart pounding. The pain continued to persist, although I was able to see out of my eye the creature dream had attacked. Running into my bathroom, I turned the light and checked out the area feverishly, trying to find some form of damage. To my relief, there was none, and soon after the pain dissipated as well. I washed my face, walked back to my bed, sitting on the edge, looking at a clock on my bed. Said I found there was still about 2 hours before I normally got ready for work. Deciding I needed to relax, I got dressed and left my apartment, thinking that by walking to a nearby diner for an early bite might help my nerves. As I made my way there, the image of what transpired ran through my mind, trying to piece together a logical explanation. I then come to the conclusion that it might have been a lucid dream gone away. Con airy, a conscience nightmare brought only a stupid book. By only a stupid book, yes, that had to be it. Or at least that's what I was thinking. It made perfect sense after all, like watching a horror movie and eating junk food before bed. Nothing more. The rest of the day went on as planned. The dinner helped me. The diner helped relax me, and work was relatively peaceful, although boring as it usually was. When I returned home, I was somewhat drained. All I wanted was to sleep, but thought that I would fall into another miserable nightmare kept me from doing so. At first, I watched some TV, then moved on to messing around. On the computer. I did anything I could to stay awake, even though I had to get up early in the morning. I did this around the morning, which I unknowingly began to doze off, feeling myself slipping away. I pinched myself hard on the arm, which briefly gave me a shock of injury. I asked myself what I was doing, and I was letting such a stupid fear control me. Pulling myself, slipping away. I asked what I was doing, letting a stupid fear control me. It was fake. It wasn't real. This is what I told myself over and over again in order to keep myself thinking logically. However, all of a sudden, that familiar feeling that something was nearby filled me once more. The same ominous aura from before began to permeate the room. I didn't care what it was, whether it was simply my mind playing tricks on me or if it was indeed happening. All I wanted to do is escape suffocating miasma that began to engulf me in a flash. And without further thought, I bolted out of the room and shut the door behind me. A feeling that persisted all the time, clutching my head, I leaned up against the adjacent wall, staring at my door. No, not knowing what was happening to me. I wonder if something was truly in there. If it was waiting for me to come back, or if I had snapped. If I was literally going insane, looking to either side of me, I noticed there was no one. The hall was empty, nor were there any sounds from various rooms located within. Silent. Everything was too quiet except the sound of my breathing and the dull thuds of my heart, which beat faster and faster as I began to lose my grip on reality. Just then, the squeaking sound of the doorknob in front of me cut through the air as slowly turned, causing me to scream out as loud as I could. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was hopefully so someone would hear me, and maybe it was just an uncontrolled response given everything that was happening. All I know is that everything disappeared, and I again woke up in my bed. I couldn't believe it. Was this all a dream too? Everything seemed so vivid, which only served to confuse me further. I sat up, ripping off the blankets before staggering to the bathroom. There I stood, looking at myself again in the mirror, not knowing if I was still asleep or make something over the door. I laid on the ground, not caring about work or the time or anything. I think I finally realized that I don't know anymore. I don't know anything. Sure, there may have been a logical reason for everything that was happening. Maybe I fell asleep again. I mean, I was definitely tired, so it's not outlandish to consider it's a possibility. Maybe I just had another nightmare. Maybe I I was becoming overstressed. Sure, these are good reasons why everything was happening as far, but they failed how me gain my composure. It's been 2 days since then. 2 days since I slept, or at least I think that's how long. Since I buried the terrible book under some junk in my desk. Right now, I can't even think of looking at it again. I wanted to put everything behind me, but still, I often feel like something is watching me. That something is coming from me, but it's just dragging things out. Its own entertainment. I try to find where it's coming. The source of presence. I try to get a glimpse and never catch a sight of it. Before I know, my friends what's been happening to have someone talk to about it all, of this, but I know they'll never believe me, and maybe then they're right not to. Haven't even been to work since everything been broken down. I just can't figure out what to do anymore. I'm tired now, so tired, but I can't sleep. I can't let myself do that again. But seeing all these words make me doubt myself and more. It's crazy. This can't be happening. Thinking about all this now, after writing it all out, I'm closing realization that's maybe I already lost it. But things happening, perhaps this has been all a series of bad dreams. Maybe I'm in one right now. Soon that thing will come out once more to haunt me, to torture me. I just want it all to be over.